my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Cause I'm the type of nigga that's built to last. If you fuck with me, I put my foot in your ass. See, I don't give a fuck cause I keep belling. Yo, what the fuck are they yelling?
Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head.
Coming to you from the Edge Podcast Studios at South Mountain, Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to the Edge Podcast with Mike G.
Free flow. The best stuff comes out, and then you.
I'm present to the, like, we're starting to get into some really good deep stuff, and I'm like, God, we haven't even started the podcast yet. So, so that you know, this is Mike G, and you're on the Edge Podcast with Mike G. I have in studio today a very good friend of mine, AJ Richards, and he happens to be the CEO of Rush Club Nation, and the CEO of Rush RX, which is a CrossFit box. It's located in Mesa, Arizona.
Right.
And he's also the CEO of Cool. I wrote that in.
I love that.
Let's say hi to AJ. How you doing, AJ?
Hey man, how you doing? Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
Man, it's a blast. It's a real pleasure to have you here. I'm excited because when we talked a while back, and we've known each other a little while now, and when we talked a while back, I knew that you were into CrossFit, and I was into CrossFit. A big Greg Glassman fan. Love the guy. He's just so brilliant.
Amazing. Yep.
And the movement called CrossFit has done something to the American psyche that no one else has ever done.
Right.
No other fitness level, nobody, right? I mean, it's really a movement.
It's an evolution of what fitness is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're right in the mix of it. And you've taken it to the next fucking level.
Yeah.
There is another level.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So let me do this. I'm going to adjust your camera just a heartbeat real quick. Okay, I'm going to put it on me, and then so that they don't see this.
Yeah.
And then you're back.
Awesome. Awesome. I had to slide forward.
Looks a lot better.
I'm trying to get that Barry White voice.
Yeah, baby. I got a little switch over here, man. I'll put it on for you. Sometimes I sound like Chef.
That's all. Yeah, right. That's funny. Cool.
So with the introduction that I just did with you, and I love the hat, love the shirt.
Thanks.
I want to see the shirt. I want a shirt.
Yeah, the shirt's
You're
the
gonna get a
gym shirt, the hat's the Rush Club shirt. I figured I'd represent all brands today.
That's awesome. So let's talk about what is Rush Club? What are you up to? What's this movement that's happening in our midst?
Right. Cool. Well, so I started my gym first. I found CrossFit while I was in Lackland Air Force Base, training to become a National Guard Security Forces guy in the guard unit here in Phoenix, Arizona, the 161st.
Nice. And
so I'd heard a little bit about CrossFit before I left to go there for training. And I had about a month left in training. I was like, I'm wasting time. I might as well go see what this thing is about.
Right.
So I found Lone Star CrossFit in San Antonio.
Nice. Shout out to Lone Star.
Yeah, shout out to Lone Star.
San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, man, really, if I ever when I get a chance to go back and say hi to those guys, I mean, they won't remember me because I was just another one who walked in, was there for a month, and then was gone, right?
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is that team planted a seed that is now what it's doing today.
Wow.
I mean, that's where my start came from, was Lone Star CrossFit. And had I had a horrible experience there,
this would be a very different conversation.
Absolutely. If they didn't do their job and hold the standards of what they believed in there, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Absolutely.
I mean, you and I would have probably never
We might
met.
not even know each other.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lone Star.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
so,
no
doubt. So anyway, started there. I go to my first couple of classes, and I get my butt kicked. And here I am. I've been in active duty for two months already, training every morning, doing PT, standard military PE. And I go to the class, and I get my freaking ass kicked. And most of the people that kicked my ass were these ladies.
Wow.
And they were all trainers at SeaWorld there in San Antonio.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I'm missing something clearly. I threw up. I haven't thrown up ever in a training, and not that that's what you're required to do hard training, but I did, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where I got my introduction. I knew at that point this was something I didn't want to let go of. I wanted to be a part of this somehow. Came home. I'm National Guard, so I came home, went right back to doing what I was doing. I was selling pest control, quite miserable.
Yeah.
The company I worked for was phenomenal. I loved everybody in the company. But that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Selling pest control at a desk just didn't fit who I was inside. And I felt like I was wasting my life. I mean, this was I served in Ramadi, Iraq for a year. So I was a warrior. I was a soldier.
Yeah.
And now I'm selling pest control. And I think sometimes that's what hangs a lot of guys up who are military is that in our minds we had such a powerful role in the universe.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting at a desk selling pest control.
Yeah.
And I had no
it's
purpose.
it's like you've lost.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the guy that's in charge of like a $50 million tank, right?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's sitting there flipping burgers or something, or he's an
Absolutely.
insurance salesman or whatever. Now, not to dispel or say that those are bad things.
Nothing wrong with those.
But here's a guy that was in charge of a $50 million fucking tank,
right?
Doing that, you know, and so I get it.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I started selling pest control door to door. And I remember having the conversation with myself, walking down the sidewalks in these neighborhoods in like Atlanta, Georgia, and Tulsa, like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I was in a war a year or so ago, and now I'm selling pest control door to door. Is this what the rest of my life is going to be like? It was miserable, right?
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So anyway, this gave me purpose because what was happening, and I think we'll come back around to your initial question, but there's a build up to where we're at.
I love it, dude. This is the edge, man. This is where we actually get to do this.
So, because there's something really that I'm going to start getting into that I'm really passionate about, and that's this veteran suicide rate that's going on right now.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, so when you're in war, so I plan on writing this book, and it's called No Difference Between Fran and a Firefight. And the title may change.
Yeah.
But Fran is a workout that we do in that everybody knows in
everybody's
in
heard
CrossFit.
of it. Yeah.
It's 21 reps, 15 reps, and then 9 reps, and you do thrusters, which is a front squat with the bar, and then as you come out of the squat, you push it up and lock it out overhead.
Right.
And it's a one continuous movement. So you do 21 of those, and then 21 pull-ups, and then 15, 15, 9, 9, and you're done.
Right.
Look it up if you're not sure what it is.
CrossFit.com,
and it's brutal,
by the way.
Yeah, CrossFit. Yeah, CrossFit.com. You can search any of that stuff. So it's brutal workout.
It's tough. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Physically can't.
Yeah, well, you probably could.
With a bar and nothing else on
yeah.
it. I probably could.
Totally. It's infinite scalable.
Yeah, and I'm not weak, okay? Because I do a CrossFit version, and I'll show you my gym after this. But
okay.
I do a version of CrossFit that that I can do.
Yeah.
And I've never had a coach coach me. So we're gonna have that conversation later too. So Fran.
Right. So Fran and a firefight, and the concept of that is I read the book Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last, and in the book he breaks down the hormones that are released in the body in response to certain interactions we have with our environment, whether it's people or something happening or whatever, right? Hormones, dopamine, adrenaline, cortisol, serotonin, and he breaks it down really well in the book. And the purpose of the book is actually written for CEOs to take responsibility for the environment their people are working in.
Oh, wow.
That they create an environment that people aren't going to work soaking in serotonin. Serotonin being your fight or flight hormone that says, get the fuck out of here, because the tiger that you're hunting is actually behind you now.
Yeah.
Right? That's what nature gave us back when we were hunter-gatherers.
Right.
Well, now we wake up in the morning and we're like, fuck, I got to go to work. I'm so miserable, but it's my job. And so we deal with it. And then we go to work soaking in serotonin.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to.
No.
And so Simon's like, do you really think that there's no correlation between that and the rise in cancer and heart disease and all this stuff that we're dealing with in the world? So he's just trying to open up the minds of CEOs. Well, so I started thinking about it and relating it to veterans, like, because why are so many guys taking their lives?
Yeah.
You know, World War II was much more devastating.
Oh, yeah.
400,000 plus soldiers killed in World War II.
Yeah.
Less than 10,000 in this conflict.
Right.
Yet the suicide rate is exponential. And there's a lot of different things. You know, when you served in World War II and then you came home, you were working manual, physical, tough labor.
Sure.
So your mind was occupied, right? Yeah. And the 10 guys also working around you most likely served with you. So there was a connection.
Yeah.
Now the percentage of soldiers to civilians is drastic. Like I think it's like 1% of the population is actually served in combat or something like that.
Right.
It's very low.
Very low.
So there's no connection.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, in the book, is that it's the hormones that control us as people. Like we get a cortisol. I've been saying this backwards. Cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone
the
fight or flight.
Yeah.
It's serotonin that's your connection with people.
Right.
So when you're in a firefight, let's say you and I are in a firefight together, and we survive, and we're high-fiving. We're like, we just
killed the enemy.
We killed the enemy. High five. Serotonin releases. I mean, dopamine, adrenaline, all that's there, and so now we're connected. We're bonded.
Yeah.
Now we're brothers.
Right.
I walked into a CrossFit gym and I was suffering, and somebody said, "Good job, man. You can do it. Keep it up." And I got a little bit of a serotonin release.
Yeah.
And then I looked over at somebody else. I'm like, "You got this. Keep going." And then I gave some, and I got a little bit for that. And I did that for a period of time, and all of a sudden, the same bonds hormonally that I had with my veteran brothers started coming.
See, this makes a lot of sense, and I think that this is a problem that a lot of people have with CrossFitters, quote unquote CrossFitters, that it's like, oh, it's like a cult or something.
Yeah.
It's not a cult.
Well,
it's a brotherhood.
Sure. And what's wrong with a cult? I mean, fuck it. The definition of cult is not negative.
That's true.
It is not. The definition of a cult, you look it up. It's not a negative connotation. Now, we create meaning based off of where the media said this is a cult, and now all of a sudden cult's bad because some news anchor called it a cult, and related it to freaking what's the guy that went down to South America and everybody drank the Kool-Aid?
Jonestown, yeah.
I mean, that's when that started coming around, and now all of a sudden cult was bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
there was a new definition that was released.
Yeah. You know, Sex Pistols.
Right.
When Virgin Records put out Sex Pistols, they had bollocks on the cover, and the city sued them. And so, they sued them because bollocks was a bad word, and it shouldn't be on the cover of any record.
Right.
And so they go to court. Richard Branson goes to court, finds a professional, like, I'm an idiot, right? So I just put things together, but
sure.
I don't have technical names.
He doesn't use a mathematician to
so he finds finds a guy that knows about language and the history of language.
Yeah.
And the defense
the etymology.
Okay. Yeah. So bollocks was the nickname of a priest. And so the judge was like, well, shit, we have no case.
I'm sorry. It's just fucking funny.
Right. But society created that bollocks was a bad word.
Right.
And so they were suing him. And then the judge was like, well, it means priest. And so you're fine. So anyway.
Same thing with cult.
Same thing with cult.
Right. So what's the actual meaning behind cult?
It's a group of people that believe in the same thing pretty much. I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But they believe in it strongly. I mean, and so, CrossFit's a cult. And it's one I'm happy to be a part of because the positive influence and impact it has on my life and my wife and my kids and the people in my community.
Yeah.
You know, it is changing the world. Like you said, Greg Glassman put together something in a way that was a healthy cult, and it's changing the world. He was on 60 Minutes, a rerun was on 60 Minutes last week. If you get a chance to check it out, you should. It's really awesome. But he said that every 2 hours and 22 minutes or something like that, there's a new CrossFit gym opening somewhere in the world.
I read that.
Yeah.
I read that recently,
and there's like over 13,000 currently, and it's growing.
Jeez, man.
So, so anyway, I'll digress a little bit. So back to what this whole, Simon Sinek's book talks about CEOs, and I kind of like related that to veterans, like what's going on there.
Yeah.
And we're missing the hormonal connection with civilians. Like there's no connection. If you can get veterans to feel the connection between civilians that they did with their brothers, they'll feel, I believe they'll feel like they belong somewhere, because that's what I was missing. Yeah. Now there's the other things going on. You have to, you'll have to figure out how to handle the memories and things like that, which is the mind creating meaning there. So, there's different meanings created in different scenarios, even though the same hormones are released, but that's a step. Yeah. It's a way to start to solve that problem.
It's kind of like there's a lot of different ways to manage PTSD. I've got a great friend. Her name is Dee Farrand. Or I always say her name, Dee Farrand. And she's an anxiety expert specialist. And she's got this great program that helps with that, right? But one of the things within her program is exercise. Yeah. Like hard working exercise. Yeah. So, what you're saying just falls in line with that. Right. And it's also a big help for people that are dealing with PTSD. Yeah. And it's not like, they're not bad people. No. They're just someone dealing with PTSD. It's like it becomes a label on that person. Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. Right. That's not a label. That's something you're dealing with. Yeah. That's it.
And there's other conversations where they're trying to remove the D in PTSD. It's post-traumatic stress, and it's not a disorder. Right. Or, there's different theories behind that.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist or specialist. It's just me observing what's happening around me in the world, and then hearing information and putting it together and seeing, that might be what helps or what doesn't. And look, if the goal is to end veteran suicide, which is a rate of 22 a day, then all ideas are welcome. Like, let's just. If you have a thought that might help, let's explore it.
Yeah.
and then come together and help these.
Absolutely. Comment at the bottom.
Yeah.
Comment at the bottom of this podcast.
Right.
Really, throw some comments in there because we'll read them and we'll get back to you.
Yeah,
for real.
So anyway, I found CrossFit while I was in San Antonio. I came home. I started doing CrossFit, and I realized, I don't belong in the world that I was in, which was the pest control sales. But I really enjoyed being in this training environment, training people, helping people become better. Gave me purpose.
Yeah.
And so I became a coach for a CrossFit gym for a while, and then I opened up my own, and that was that's in Mesa, Arizona, and we've been pretty successful. I mean, we're in a building that used to be a Hollywood Video, so Redbox set us up perfect to be able to have a facility that,
I love it.
that works. Hollywood Videos were built for CrossFit gyms, really.
That's for sure. Yeah, man. Great square footage.
Yeah,
yeah.
Awesome. So I started the CrossFit gym, and then being in that world, being of that community, I always wanted to be a part of like the big picture.
Yeah.
And I looked at CrossFit headquarters, and I would have loved to have been a part of the big picture of CrossFit headquarters. But by the time I got involved in 2009, everybody was kind of already in their positions. Now they're hiring people all the time, but now, and I don't know how operations work there, so I'm not pretending to know, but I assume that it's like any company, they hire an employee, and your level of participation in that organization is kind of where it's at.
Right.
But I mean, the guys who were there in the beginning, it's really similar to how my company's growing. One guy that was the director of their media was an English teacher or something like that.
Wow.
And then ended up running the media for 10 years and working with massive ESPN crews, and just they figured it out as they went.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was all growth from within with friends.
Right.
They didn't go out and go hire a media team. They just used somebody who's already in their midst.
And then they pull from their expertise.
Yeah.
And I'm showing off your
the website
a little bit right now, but that's one of the greatest ways to grow, and then it can be problematic as well.
Right.
But the benefit of it is really that you have that camaraderie. You actually have plank owners.
Right.
Like in the Navy SEALs, you have this thing called plank owners. In the Navy, we have plank owners.
Right.
Anybody that started a program is a plank owner.
Yeah.
And that's what you have, and they can last forever, like Steve Wozniak and right, and those guys, right? So that's incredibly powerful, and it's like you want to be a part of that, So every person in my team, my executive team, they were members of my gym first. Okay.
So the way that the way that God or the universe, however you want to identify with positive things happening to you when you put the work in, whatever your identification of that is, mine is God. Put these people in that gym to be prepared to take this journey. Because I would have people come up and say, I don't know if you know this about me, but I own a website development company called Mint Social, and it's massive. This guy's name is Steve Heidemann, and we're extremely successful in this way I do, and I can help you. And he's a member of mine. Wow. And I'm like, well, yeah, I need help in that area.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's the one that developed the website that you were
awesome.
showing. Yeah, and this guy does the work of 3 people. I mean, he does online marketing, the web development. I mean, just unbelievable. If he was gone, I'd have to find 3 people to replace just what he does.
That's incredible.
And then another guy comes up and says, hey, I was an Emmy-nominated creative director, and if you need some video work done, which you'll have a clip of as well, then I can help you. And these are guys who are already in my gym. And then this lady comes up at one point, and her name is Ryan. And she says, I worked in L.A. for 10 years as an executive producer. I produced iHeart Music Radio Awards, Cartoon Network Game Awards, and then I moved here because my mother had Alzheimer's, and she was, getting older. So I moved home to help with that. But she goes, this is what I did. So if you want any help, I can help you with that. I mean, this is an executive producer from LA. These are people who are in my gym.
Unbelievable.
And I'm like, all right, let's roll, and
now, so what I'm really curious about this, because I understand like the law of attraction, right?
Right.
So what I'm really curious to ask you this question is, how much of Rush Club was already a part of your thinking? Was already a part of like what you were interested in doing?
Yeah.
When they started to approach you,
we had already been, myself and the president of the company, Stacy, who's also a member of my gym.
Right.
We had been doing Rush Club probably 5 shows. So the first year we started, we had a different model. It was a tournament style. So we'd have 4 men and 4 women, and they would compete. The men would compete head to head on a bracket system, right? And if you won your first heat, you would go on for the final final head-to-head, and then the winner would be belted, right?
Right.
And so,
high energy,
High
a lot
energy.
of fun. I've been to one.
yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Like, I was blown away.
And it was way different than what it is now.
Yeah.
So we start getting this momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started bringing different people in. That's when they started coming to us and saying, hey, this is growing and we can help you here. Because I started putting into the world what I believed would happen.
Right.
And, why couldn't this be as big as the UFC someday? With CrossFit growing as fast as it is, and the amount of people doing it. I mean, if you compare people who actually do MMA to people who actually do CrossFit, our base audience of participants is much more it's massive compared
it dwarfs.
It dwarfs, yeah. Here's a fun thing that we just figured out. Another member of our team looked up hashtags on Instagram, and he did hashtag UFC, and there was 4 million, and he did hashtag WWE, because we believe we kind of are similar to both those.
In that, right?
2 million, and both of these organizations have been around for
decade.
20 years for UFC, WWE even longer.
Yeah.
Then he hashtagged CrossFit. 11 million.
Jesus,
and
man.
it's only been around since 2001.
Wow.
Because it's a cult. It's a culture. It's a lifestyle.
That's what cult means. Culture.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle. It's, anything that happens to you positive in your life, people who do CrossFit, they relate it to because of their preparedness that CrossFit helped them with.
Wow.
And so we are the entertainment for
CrossFit. That's
community.
Insanely cool.
Now,
man.
CrossFit's a trademark. I want to make sure that's very clear.
Right,
CrossFit is a trademark owned by Greg Glassman.
Right. We
just happen to provide a service for that industry. And then Greg Glassman says in his interview that the sphere of influence, financial influence that it's had on the marketplace, what he started is about $4 billion. Wow. And we're going to bump that.
Yeah.
Like what we do, he's going to be able to do another interview someday and say it was 4, but now it's 6 because of Rush Club.
Rush Club Nation.
And we're very respectful of what they're doing. Like we are in no way a competitor of theirs. As a matter of fact, I've emailed Greg Glassman and thanked him.
Yeah.
Because what Greg created gave me possibility for something beyond the military.
Yeah.
I have nothing but massive gratitude for that entire company.
I've got a lot of respect for him. I've listened to him many times.
Yeah.
On YouTube. I really did. I love everything that he talks about, and everything from the way that CrossFitters eat to the culture that's involved to the everything that is. And why am I not in a CrossFit gym right now?
Yeah.
And it's because I've been waiting to have this conversation with you.
Awesome.
So you lock me in, right?
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
So we have this. So we have this thing that we call Rush Club.
Yeah.
But here's kind of where we go to the edge, right? I'm still this high school dropout running a company that's starting to gain this momentum.
Right.
And the people who are supporting it are way more intelligent than I am. And so what's in here for me is that I'm not qualified to lead this company. And so we do like 6 or 7 shows, I can't remember, and we get to the last one of the year, and it was actually going to be carry over to the next year, January, and we called it the Final Rush.
Right.
I just started, I actually just got present to this myself, but it was called the Final Rush. And it was because we were going to end the tournament style and go head to head.
Okay.
But what I got clear with on myself was that it was also a way that if we didn't pick it back up after, I completed it. So if I didn't have the confidence to keep going, it was the Final Rush. We're done.
Yeah.
Like nothing, we tied it in. Nobody's going to wonder where it went.
Right.
Matter of fact, we had people saying, so are you guys done after this?
Yeah.
Because we call it the Final Rush.
Right.
And my team, I don't think my team even knows that's where I was at.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
See, that's really...
Because I was like, yeah, that's great. And in the back of my head, I'm like, that's great. Because then if I don't feel like I can do it, I can just be, we're done. Great, guys. Thanks for all your help. It was great.
All right, let's get to work.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. And so I took this program called the Landmark Forum.
Mm-hmm.
It's where you and I met.
Yep.
Not the forum, but in the education. And so I took it January 10th of 2014. And our Final Rush show was January 18th. So the following weekend. Right. And the guy told me to go. He's like, you need to go. because I was actually having problems with my marriage, and I'm like, I'm done, but I'm not a quitter, and I've got 3 girls. So if you have any recommendations for me, and he's like, yeah, you need to go to Landmark, and you need to go to the very next one available.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, Steve, I can't go because it's the weekend before Rush Club, and I don't think I can handle that sort of a mind fuck. Because I didn't know what to expect, right? So I'm like, I can't handle that before all of this stress. And Steve said, if you go, it'll be the best show you've ever done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I trust, this guy's name is Steve Hardison. He's the ultimate coach. People fly into Mesa from all over the world to coach with him. And he was a member of, a member of my gym who's contributing to my life. Yeah. And so now all I have left to do is grow this sucker so I can contribute to, as many people as possible.
Giving back. Yeah. Pay it forward. Yeah. For sure.
So anyway, so I went.
Yeah.
Monday after that class, so the Monday of the weekend, after the weekend, and the Monday before the final rush was the single greatest day of my life that I can remember.
Wow, dude.
Because I was able to relieve so much baggage, especially about feeling like I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And, man, I walked into that Rush Club weekend. So here's the thing. The show we did prior to that, we did it, and it cost us $7,000 to produce, to put on, and we lost $1,000. So we only brought in 6.
Yeah.
And
that's hard to sustain.
Yeah, and the January show was $21,000. So our last show was half of that, and we lost. And now we're putting on a show, and that's where all the stress came from. And I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I'm not good enough to do this.
Right.
Not only did we cover our budget, but it projected us into the next stage.
What?
Yeah, it was
awesome.
And I was so connected in my own mind that everything is, it's like, when I really got that I was living in my past, I was like, dude, January 18th has never happened. So instead of choosing to think it's going to be a failure, this is going to be the best January 18th of 2014 that could ever happen,
That's
right?
Brilliant, man.
So it was phenomenal. It was an unbelievable weekend, and I can recall almost every single detail of the evening.
Wow.
Because I was just so present to how things were going. It was just phenomenal. So
would you recommend the Landmark Forum to anybody?
I would recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, after I went through it, so we went to the forum, we did the Rush Club, and then I couldn't shut up about it at the gym, and so then we hosted an introduction at my gym, and I had 30 of our members show up for the introduction, and 15 registered.
Wow.
In that one night.
Yeah.
And it was because of my sharing, what I got from it, right?
Yeah, just flat enthusiasm.
And because I couldn't
and it was tangible. That's the interesting thing. Yeah, that's the other thing about it. So real quick commercial on the Landmark Forum or Landmark Worldwide. Go to landmarkworldwide.com and you can watch a introduction online. Yeah. It's a few minutes long. Listen, get it. And then when you've watched it and you can see something for yourself, register. Yeah, really, get yourself in there. No kidding. I'm not bullshitting you. Get in there because it changed my life. It made a huge difference in your life. And I'm telling you, it'll make a big difference in yours. If you're looking for some next level shit in your life, that's the place to start. Yeah. All right, off of that.
Yeah, and for me personally, I would tell you that the success of Rush Club is because of that. Now, my other awesome. Team members may have their own different view of how that goes, and that's okay. But for me, I would not be prepared to handle what's happening now in Rush Club had I not gone through that.
So here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment.
Okay.
What is Rush Club, and can we pull this video and
play
take
the
a
video?
Look at, you want to do that?
Play that video, and that will tell you what Rush Club is.
Awesome. Let's do this. Ready? Set. Hold on. Do the 3, 2, 1. I love it.
3, 2, 1. Do work.
You can do it, girl.
Yes.
Push.
Get it. Our adaptive guys.
That's Rocky, man.
Rocky and the other kid, Logan.
Yeah. Can't wait to eat.
No excuses.
Yeah, no excuses. That's your boy right there.
Yeah.
The kid is a beast.
Yeah, he's insane.
I was there for that.
Yeah, you were that one.
That was the
huh?
one I was
yeah.
at. Yeah. Fantastic, man.
That's what Rush Club
dude,
is.
that is Rush Club right there, baby. That's exciting, man.
Oh, dude.
You know, and
I get more empowered every chance I get to share it. I mean, it's like there's a video that came out the other day, and it talked about how there's like it was the concept is there's no such thing as a true reality because the reality that we have is from our own perspectives, and then true leaders know how to lead people to see a different reality. So there's no true reality because it can always change.
Right.
Which means if you want to create something in the world, it can happen if you don't quit and if you just speak it into truth.
Yeah.
And like this shouldn't happen. This shouldn't happen.
Right.
And it is. And it's going to make an impact on the world like we've never seen. Like I was telling you just before we paused because we didn't want to give away the juice.
Yeah.
Rush Club is becoming a movement. This is like the motor behind the movement, like the train. This is the engine
on the locomotive.
That's
taking it down the road.
That's what's pulling it, but the cars that are following it is the movement of what Rush Club is. So we do a weigh-in. It's a different concept of head-to-head fighting. It's it's fighting without throwing a punch.
Right.
Which is different, right?
Yeah.
And so when we have weigh-ins, our people are hugging each other and high-fiving
instead of the fist and being the jerk.
And don't get me wrong, I have fun. It's exciting to watch that, and they create their own drama, but it's different in our show.
Yeah.
We are on this planet to inspire people. That is our measurement. Like Rush Club is successful when we know that we're inspiring the world. And so we have our weigh-ins, and after the weigh-ins this last time we started what's called the Rush Club Strong Seminar. And the Rush Club Strong Seminar would look similar to like a TED Talk, but it's specific to the people that are there and not what they do. It's who they are.
Okay.
So we can connect with what made them special.
Yeah.
What made them go to that next level.
It's such a great story to listen to somebody, especially like yourself, that said, I was in this situation and here's what happened. And then like the feather in Forrest Gump, you end up in a CrossFit gym. I mean, I love that analogy because that's my life too.
Right.
But I can see how success comes through that. And then, like you said, being somebody who's willing to not only stick with it, right?
Yep.
But you're driving it.
Yes.
You're the force behind it. Like you're intense, you're intentional, and you're moving forward. And there is no substitute for hard work.
Nope.
None.
People
that get in there and they're like, this is going to be easy, you are going to fail.
Yep.
Not only are you going to fail, you probably quit before you actually get anything out of it.
Yeah.
And that's too bad. Hard work cannot be substituted by anything else.
No. And listen, I would be lying if I said that I knew this was going to happen from the beginning. I go through my own period of like, is it really going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, am I really going to be that level?
Next year, I'm going to have you on this podcast again, and I promise you it's going to look a lot better.
Yeah.
We won't have sheets up on the walls, but I can tell you this much.
Yeah.
Rush Club is going to be so much bigger, exponentially bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people that are following it now are going to be a lot more mainstream. Or they'll be mainstream compared to what they were, the cult.
Right,
number,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it will be...
That's my prediction.
Yeah, and mine as well.
Yeah.
In 1 year's time, we'll be broadcasting to over 100,000 people across the world.
Oh, yeah.
Because this last show really made it clear for us that we were no longer just this awesome head-to-head event. We are there for people.
Yeah.
When we introduced the adaptive athlete division, it really set the tone for what's possible in the world. So adaptive athletes are people, we're changing the language there. And we're part of it. The language has been started by the CrossFit community. Yeah. We're part of that transformation of that language. So there's no disability. Disabled is no longer a vocabulary that we even adhere to. It's adaptive.
Come on.
Yeah.
I like that.
It doesn't exist.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. It just doesn't exist. I mean, when you and guess who labeled people that? people who didn't adapt,
Yeah.
labeled adaptive athletes disabled. What right do we have? I mean, and then you meet these people, and they don't know what disabled is.
Yeah.
They only know what it means to adapt. And so in the world that we're in, we're also talking to people who are elite level athletes who have never had the ability to compete at that level as an individual.
Wow.
Right? So you have the Paralympics, and that's great. But
team sport.
on the edge, ball on the court,
Yeah.
do you know who won the Paralympics?
I don't. No idea.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
So what we have the unique opportunity to do with this show, because it's made for entertainment and it's made to inspire through we're not a test of fitness. That's what CrossFit does, is they test the fittest on the planet.
Yeah.
We are an inspiration of fitness.
Oh, wow.
That's what we are. And
That
so,
is so brilliant.
Yeah.
Man. I'm loving it.
yeah, and so then we have like a little clip in there was Logan and Rocky Pico.
Yeah.
Rocky was born without a hand, and Logan lost his arm in a wakeboarding accident at 13.
Wow.
And these guys are elite level athletes that now have somewhere to go to be like, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
And here's my prediction is this. Like my job, I'm the Dana White of my organization, right? And so my job is to promote athletes and have sort of be able to forecast who's going to be the big players. You know, when Dana White brought Ronda Rousey on, people were pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't earn it. He's like, I don't give a shit. It's my show. And she has a shot. I think she earned it.
Yeah.
Now, that was the best thing they could have ever done for that organization.
Absolutely.
Success is measured by how many people you can inspire. Like Ronda's inspiring millions of people across the world.
Yeah.
My prediction is that when people see what adaptive athletes can do, these will be the next stars of head-to-head competition. Like, we've got some impressive athletes, like Noah Olsen being a middleweight champion.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That kid is awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that Logan is every bit as awesome, if not more,
Wow.
because of what he's had to overcome.
Because he's an adaptive athlete.
He's
I'm
an
going to start
adaptive-
using this language.
Yeah.
I love it. I hashtag adaptive athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the way it is now. It's just get out with there's the other the other word doesn't exist in our vocabulary.
Yeah.
And when somebody brings it in, and what I got really clear on is, like, I didn't think it was used anywhere else. And then I received some emails working on some new projects we're working on. Like, we're actually going to be doing a show on AZTV here in Phoenix, Arizona, once a month.
Nice.
And somebody was helping us get that set up, put disadvantaged in the email. And I was like, almost like, what the hell is that? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's what we used to call adaptive athletes. And it's like, it's almost like, how barbaric.
That's awful. Yeah.
And not that he meant anything by
archaic.
it. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't-
that language
We don't
still being
use
used.
that.
But I've been so far removed from that for so long, I didn't know it was still used. But
Yeah.
that's also inspiring that there's an education that's going to come, and people are just going to be inspired. So,
So
we've had
that's great. Now you've got your own language. You've got a whole new like elite level competition.
Yeah.
Very different than CrossFit Games.
Yep.
Hashtag CrossFit Games. Love everything that they're doing.
Yeah,
But this
so
right
do I.
here really does. I can see it does bring out the athlete in you. That's the inspiration I think that's behind it.
That's
I
right.
think because I'm an athlete. When I was a kid, now I'm 40, 50 pounds overweight right now. And I've lost 25 pounds, right?
Yeah.
CrossFitting, doing some paleo.
awesome.
It's been a month.
Yeah, it's
That's
awesome.
it. I've only been at this a month.
Yeah.
And this girl that I like, she's like, "Wow, you're looking good right there." I was like, that's right, baby.
Yeah. Drop it
Right?
low.
What I'm trying to get at is that it does speak to the athlete in me.
Yep.
It makes me want to get in
Yes.
and play.
Yeah, we have got many cases of people bringing friends to our show. The show's here in Phoenix, Arizona right now. We'll travel at some point, and I got some stuff I can share with that. But people being, one of our competitors brought his girlfriend once, and he's like, I've been trying to get her into the CrossFit gym for months, and she won't even step foot in there. And then she started on Monday. I mean, and see, here's our intent. We exist to touch, move, and inspire people to action. And I don't care what it is. Like, my job isn't, what I'm out to do is not to get people to go join a CrossFit gym. It's to get people to move. And I don't care what that movement is. Just move, do something. And it doesn't even have to be, I would prefer to see physical movement because that's a part of existing powerfully.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just doing something and not sucking up air. Like, if you're not creating anything, you're worse than a cow, because at least I can eat a cow. I mean, just that's how it is. If you're wasting space, I can't eat you because then I go to jail. So do something. We exist to touch, move, and inspire people to action of something. I read a book called from Napoleon Hill called Outwitting the Devil.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Great book.
And he talks about drifters and what a drifter is. And that's somebody who doesn't necessarily do anything bad. They just don't do anything. They wake up, they go to work, they come home, they go to bed. They wake up, they go to work, they come home, they go to bed. I guarantee you those people are miserable and looking for something to inspire them, and that's what we're out to do. And again, it's funny that it's this thing, right, that's so specific. But yet it awakens something inside when you see that struggle. There's a connection there. And then we tie it in by bringing in these special stories through our Rush Club Strong seminar and then the podcast. And they just, the podcast we call is Redefining Failure. And that's what we're out to do, is redefine what it means to fail and just get people connected and inspired somewhere.
That is so great, man. And I hope to someday be on your podcast. I would love to. And the whole idea that people can change their lives, not only because, let me just say it this way. Let me say it the way I would say it to anybody, right? If you could fucking change your life and you really had all the tools that were in play, right, to be able to do it, what would stop you?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Why would it?
The problem really becomes, how does it occur to you?
Yeah.
It occurs hard.
Yeah.
So your friend who's girlfriend, it occurs hard.
Yep.
It occurs really hard. Okay, now put them in an environment where they get to see people in the struggle, sweating.
Yep.
You could see their hearts are on their sleeves, man. Tears are going. And everybody around them is like, come on, you can do it. Like, we're pulling for you.
Yeah.
And I remember the one girl was just struggling, man, to push the ball up, and I was like in tears with her, man, just because it was hurting her. And that right there is what says it occurs hard, but it's worth it. Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right. And then the next part that just connects it, it's like the cherry on top is when it's over and they high five or hug each other.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we just did this together, and there's a super high level of respect between them, and the audience feels it, right? Because there's no trash talking. It's like, in one sense, we're head to head, and in the other sense, like, our programming is done in a way that it's perfect for both of them. So it's actually a battle of what's up here for the athlete, not who's across from them.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the athlete's running over and pushing their bar away, Yeah. They just
There's none of that.
It's head to head.
Yes.
And they're competing against each other. But it was made for both of them. So the real battle is what's in their mind and who can push beyond that. And that's who we see the champion be. And that's why when I get a chance to talk with the athletes prior to the show, I tell them, I said, clear your mind and go out there and be with yourself and do that for yourself. Because if they get 1 or 2 repetitions ahead of you and you let that come in, it's over. You lost it.
Yeah.
And if your listeners go back to our YouTube channel, Rush Club Nation, there's they were a little clip of the 2 athletes that were in there.
Yep.
It's our flyweight division, our first flyweight division.
Yeah.
Melissa Popovich versus Charisse Chan. And Charisse Chan is a
I got it right here. What is it? Which one of these is it?
You're actually in our Redefining Failure
Okay.
YouTube, so just type in Rush Club Nation.
You got
it. And let's see.
There's Noah.
Yeah, click on the actual channel itself up the top there.
Okay.
Oh,
that's my channel. Go back.
Go back, and then right there next to the rooster says Rush Club Nation. Up top, right there.
And I got to subscribe. Subscribed. Okay.
Yeah, you can pause that because it's just automatic run. Trying to see if it's up there.
Strong Series. Linda Barber wins.
I'll have to share the link with you because it might not be there.
Might not be there. Okay.
Anyway, so these 2 ladies, right? Charisse Chan is a professional Olympic lifter. Welcome. And Melissa Popovich is phenomenal as well. Charisse is a little bit stockier. They're both in the same weight class. And the entire workout, Charisse Chan is ahead of Melissa 5-6 reps the whole time.
Right.
And then in the last round of what they were doing, they have to do these double unders, which is you jump on a jump rope and you go twice around with a rope for every jump.
Right.
And you have to do them unbroken. So if you trip, you start over from 0 on those jump ropes.
Right. God, I do that. It's hard. It's so fucking hard.
It's the skill on that.
It is very.
So Charisse Chan gets to the rope first and starts going. And Melissa picks up her rope when Charisse is about 4 reps in and then trips. And Melissa sails past her and wins.
Oh, my God.
And if Melissa, at any point in that whole entire duel, which is probably about 7 minutes, if she ever once let that lead get into her mind, she wouldn't have made it.
Wow.
And she became our first flyweight women's champion because she kept that lead out of her mind. And she's interviewing her after. She's like, I played my game.
Yeah.
Like, Charisse is going to do what she's going to do. I played my game.
Folks, I need you to know something, that when you go to a Rush Club event, you're in the Rush Club Nation. You enter into the Rush Club Nation. It is an complete encompassing experience of positivity, and it's just like, you know, when you're done with the UFC, right? What do you see? Joe Rogan walks over, he's got the mic, he's, hey buddy, what happened here? You know, when you were 30 seconds in, you knocked the shit out of the guy. The same thing is going on, but in a positive light.
Right.
And I love it because, you know, you walk up and then you put the belt on that person, and it's such a great feeling.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I come away with like this whole sense of she beat the other girl in her mind before she ever stepped on stage.
Right.
And that's the key to being a champion.
Yeah. As a champion, you need to be prepared before you walk out there mentally.
Yeah.
Or it's over. You can't, in that sort of chaos, it's too late to prep your mind for that.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is. Retired, I follow a guy by the name of Mark Devine.
Yeah.
You know about Mark?
Yeah, I attended his SEALFIT program.
SEALFIT is amazing, right? I've got his books, and I've done the SEALFIT. I've done the SEALFIT, not the SEALFIT, but his other program.
Okay. Yeah.
And he is one guy that's like, Navy SEALs, we win the battle before we ever step on the battlefield.
Right.
Like, it's all up in here happening. We know exactly what we're going to do. Our executions are flawless. We know what's going to happen when we go and clear a room, whatever. And this guy is the consummate capitalist, business owner, CEO, and professional warrior.
Right.
I love the guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And I get a lot of that stuff from him. But yeah, that's what you're bringing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're bringing.
Yeah.
That kind of intentionality is so fucking needed in our world today.
Yep.
It's where we get to elevate that conversation in the world.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, the biggest thing I would say about what made Rush Club what it is the people that are on board. So, you know, I'm very clear that the concept was mine, and there's a few ideas that I pitched in there that are really successful because, you know, because really I think I was the guy to be the one to bring it into the world. And I did not create Rush Club. My team created Rush Club.
Wow.
Right. So I would say that I founded Rush Club, but I did not create Rush Club. My president of the company, Stacy, coming on board from the early days, she was my gym manager. And I'm like, hey, will you manage this? Because I have ideas, but I'm not a very good executioner. So we joke in our business that I'm the madness and she's the method. And it's really,
I love it.
It works, right? So I have this visual in my head that I'm like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like throwing this stuff behind me, and she's running behind me going, yeah, that's great. We'll keep it. Oh, that's bullshit. We're not doing that, you know.
Get rid of that.
Yeah. And so she kept it organized from day one. And without her organization skills and her execution, we would have never made it this far. Wow. Ever made it this far. And then the right people came at the right time. And that's what I would say to your listeners is if you are out to do something, if you're going to change something or create something in the world, it's like we talked about earlier, those who make are the ones who just didn't quit. Yeah. Like so many things and ideas have been started. And then how many times have you met somebody or maybe even yourself, you're like, man, I had that idea and somebody's doing it. Yeah. You know, the motorized skateboard, my dad, when it first came out, my dad was like, oh, I thought about that a long time ago. He just never did anything with it. Right. I mean, now, you know, the motorized skateboard was this huge deal when I was a kid. And now there's the electric one now that's even better. But anyway, I saw a cartoon a long time ago that's always stuck with me. When I start feeling like, is this really going to happen? Like, I have a goal that we're going to be a $20 million company by 2025.
Awesome.
And then we'll be $1 billion company by 2030. And that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
And it doesn't have to. I don't even give a shit.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We're going to do it.
Look, dream big, play bigger.
Yeah.
And if language creates the world we're in, I'm going to test that theory. And I'm going to live until 2030 as if Rush Club's a $1 billion company. And guess what? If I fall short, a few $1 million more than I would have if I went for 20 million and by 2030.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't even care.
Yeah.
But that's the game we're playing. So I saw this cartoon, and it was in a newspaper, and there was these two miners, right?
Yeah.
And there was this wall of diamonds on the far side of this cartoon picture.
Right.
And one of the diggers had his pickaxe over his shoulder, and he was walking out of the tunnel. And there was this barrier of dirt that looked like, thin. Like he was right
inches
there.
Or whatever.
And as he's walking away, there's this other guy that's right under him who's digging towards it. And he's getting closer. And he's closer than the other guy was.
Yeah.
And without even reading the words, the concept is that guy, if he doesn't quit, will be there. And the guy was just there. And actually, the Napoleon Hill book, the audiobook, I don't know who it was, but there's a book called 3 Feet from Gold.
Yeah.
That's a real story.
It's actually, I've read the book.
You have?
Yeah, dude.
Same concept.
I'm very well read.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm gonna tell him myself. I read a lot of books.
Okay.
But this is by Sharon Lecter.
Yeah, Sharon Lecter. She's the one who does on the audio of the Napoleon Hill. Yep. She's the one who does the kind of commentary in between.
That's right. That's right. She was instrumental in bringing that book to light because just a little bit of history. Napoleon, everybody in the Napoleon Foundation while he was alive and then after he died said, you can't publish this book because he says a lot of things about churches and the devil and
schooling
and schools
education,
and how horrible. Anyway, and Napoleon Hill, by the way, also wrote Think and Grow Rich, and we'll have links to all that underneath the podcast. But I want you to know something. If you've ever read a book that would take you from point A to point B very, very quickly, I would start with Think and Grow Rich, and then I would get in right away. I would get into the devil,
Outwitting the Devil,
and then finally 3 Feet from Gold. And 3 Feet from Gold will take it all that because it was written in the 1920s. It'll take all of it and it will just make it today's story. I absolutely love the foundation that they have and what they're about. And how may I serve you? Yeah. That was one of the main takeaways I got. Yeah. From Sharon and from everything that those books are really about is how may I serve you? Yeah. Be a servant. That's huge. And I think that's what you are, man. You really do serve a community with not just not you do, but you're the guy out there with this great idea that's got Rush Club Nation happening, but you're also in the gym. Yeah. Pushing, struggling.
I coached 2 classes this morning, and as soon as we're done, I'm going to coach 3 more,
and then after I'm done, I'm going to be editing some more video.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm going to make a trip out to visit your box.
It'd be awesome.
I'll be out there tomorrow. What time? At 10 a.m.? 9 a.m.?
You can come at any time you'd like, but I won't be there.
Okay.
I'm heading up to St. George doing an introduction to the Landmark Forum.
Oh, okay.
In St. George, Utah.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll just reschedule that.
Let's do next week. So I'll be back, and I'd love to be there when you get there.
I'm in.
So.
All right. So forwarding this conversation, because we just got on a tangent, but it's kind of the stuff I love to do. So
one of the other things I want to touch on it speaks close to my heart, which is education and kids and thinking that they may not be smart enough because there's a lot of kids out there that were just like me. Yeah. I dropped out my junior year, actually the beginning of my senior year, and I really didn't think that I would be able to create anything like this. And what I got very clear on is, we talked about it before the podcast started, is the information that's available now. I'm going to throw myself in that same loop as Napoleon Hill. You don't need to go get hundreds of thousands of dollars of school debt to be successful.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're going to cut my head open and do brain surgery, you better fucking go to school.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you're not interested in that world, if you're interested in the world of creation and being an entrepreneur, save yourself the stress of money and debt going to school, because there are so many resources out there for you. There's edx.org is a website. It's a university where universities from all over the world contribute, and it's free.
Classes online. You can also go to Khan Academy.
Khan Academy, yeah.
Apple has I think it's like iTunes, but it's iAcademy or
Oh, okay.
Apple
I
Academy.
didn't
It's
know that.
Apple Academy, yeah.
Yeah.
And they have Harvard and Oxford classes as well that are free. And the technology is available. And I'm right there with you. In fact, a lot of my education, so I dropped out when I was in a junior in high school also.
All right.
And got my GED, went into the Navy, came out and got into radio.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got this voice, I think, what happened.
Gotcha. Yeah.
There's no switch. So
Oh, you had me going this
this
whole
is
time.
all real.
I'm
This is actually.
I'm gonna switch
this
my
is-
shit
this
switch.
is
Damn
not,
it.
This is not Memorex. If you remember how that cassette tape commercial went.
That's funny.
No, really. If you want to be an entrepreneur, I recommend that you go to. I'll give you some right now. So look up Gary Vaynerchuk. Look up Ask Gary V. Look up Elon Musk. Go online and entrepreneur.com. Go to Entrepreneur on YouTube. They've got a ton of great content in there. You're going to want to follow people like Steve Jobs
Yeah.
and Bill Gates, and you're going to want to follow
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. You're going to want to follow AJ Richards. You're going to want to follow these people because they're actually really passionate about what it is, and they're giving it away. They're
Yeah.
telling you
Yeah.
how to become an entrepreneur. And the only thing that you got to understand is that you've got to do it.
Yeah.
And you've got to educate yourself. You've got to put in the work to understand what it is that you want. And then you've got to get out there and do it. And do what this guy does. Get a team around you. Could you imagine
Yeah.
a Navy SEAL going into battle without his team?
No.
What the fuck is
No.
that?
And and we have that conversation in our in our executive team all the time.
Yeah.
About how those guys operate, and more specifically, the world I'm connected with was the Army. So I got to train with the Green Beret guys for a little while in the National Guard unit. I was going to join them, and so I got to know a little bit about them. It didn't work out. Anyway,
To our benefit, I think, a little bit.
yeah, probably.
To the world's benefit,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I tell my team is that we need to operate like a special operations unit.
Yeah.
In other words, so in the military, when you're on a team like that, they send you to school to be a specialist. So if you're a weapons sergeant, you go to school to be a weapons sergeant. But then they also send you to school to learn how to be a little bit of a medic and a little bit of communications and a little bit of each of the jobs needed on the team.
Right.
So that if one of your team members gets taken out, you can limp your way out of that country
Right.
and do their job enough to get yourself out of there.
Right.
We operate the same way in our executive team at Rush Club. It's, everybody in our team has somebody that knows a little bit about their job. So that if somebody's sick or unavailable or something like that, because life happens,
That's right.
we aren't dead in the water because that person is the only one who knew how to work on the website,
Yeah.
right? Or that person, I'm the only one who knows how to get athletes and match up athletes, or
Yeah.
all of those things.
Wow.
So
yeah.
we believe that. Have you ever heard of the holocracy?
I have not.
Holocracy is a way of operating business, and I am a total layman on this. This
Okay.
is just,
So am I. I've never
Yeah.
heard of it before.
but essentially what it is the old school idea of companies running top down, like you have the CEO and then you're all stuck under there.
Yep.
Is over.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's how things worked in the 80s.
Yeah.
And what it actually bred was a lot of hate and discontent in the lower ranks, because the only way to move up is if somebody got fired or left, or right, you're just stuck. You're a low man on a totem pole.
Right. Yeah.
The holocracy method is more of like free form business. So
Kind of like Google.
yeah, probably
Yeah.
like Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. And dude, I am not well read. I don't read a lot. I just listen. I watch a lot of like
Yeah.
YouTube. So
They've done a reorg recently. So anyway, like I follow that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you're talking about sounds a lot like Google.
yeah. So if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I think we should do a podcast
Mm-hmm.
for Rush Club," great, you're in charge.
Yeah.
This is you. You might be the lowest guy in our company, but if you think we should have a podcast, you run it.
Nice.
We'll support you how you need to.
Yep.
However we need to.
What do you need?
And now you have ownership in the company's success. And then somebody else says, we should do Rush Club Strong. Oh, great. You run that. And you pick the people you need on your team to make that successful. It's all underneath the umbrella of Rush Club. And everybody now has a real breathing purpose in the company.
That's awesome. And that
great.
follows exactly what I'm talking about. So what Google does is they give every single one of their employees has 20% of their own time that they're paid for to develop whatever they want.
That's awesome.
So do you know where we got Google Glass
from an employee.
That had 20% of his time allocated to something that he was really interested in, and it was a team of them. It wasn't just a one. So that kind of innovation is necessary in every single company out there, from the guy that's just running a landscaping company, okay, to the guy that's running a full-on $50 million corporation.
Right.
He's got to be able to have that kind of a talent, or that kind of talent, because we're over talented, underpaid in a lot of scenarios, and we almost feel like, well, we're just doing the job. Doing the job. You know what? When somebody gets something they can take ownership of, oh my God, magic happens.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's too easy nowadays to leave and go somewhere else that's all about that, or start your own place.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to keep good people around, give them a purpose. Allow them to create their own purpose. Really, I shouldn't say give them a purpose. Let them create their own and stand for them.
Absolutely.
So
be fully back them.
Yeah.
Is the what I'm after. Yeah, I want to make sure that. So that's what I've got with my executive team as well.
That's awesome.
And we're growing, and we're also looking for some interns to come in here and do some engineering work and that kind of thing. So
cool.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So it's you know what, I'm in the development stage that you were in a few years ago.
Yeah, and that's great.
I'm
man.
totally following you. I'm like, I love it, and I would
Yeah.
love to have you take a look at the operation a little bit and see what you can figure it out. But continue on with your new podcast, because you just started talking about that. Somebody said, hey, let's do a podcast, and so tell us about it.
Yeah, so continuing with what Rush Club is and being a movement to inspire people, we want to tell some stories about the people that we're connected with. And actually, we're reaching out to everybody who has something to share. And so this is what we took from the Napoleon Hill Outwitting the Devil. And so the concept is this. We're going to talk to people about who they were, so that we can help people identify with the fact that there's no such thing as a victim of circumstance. Too many people believe that. Like, I grew up in foster care, therefore nobody wants me.
Yeah.
Or I grew up and my family was a biker family, and they just white trash, whatever you want to call it. We lived in we actually have a guest that will be coming out in the next 4 weeks who grew up as a biker baby.
Wow,
and lived in a house that they called the shit shack. It was half of a double wide, and they just boarded up the other half.
Wow.
That's where she came from, and now it's Christmas Abbott, and she's got almost 300,000 fans. She wrote The Badass Body Diet. It's a national best-selling book. Wow. She was the first female in a NASCAR pit crew member actually changing tires. Yeah. And she grew up as a biker baby.
Wow.
So we want to tell the story of where their story started.
Yeah.
And help people identify that you're never a victim of circumstance.
That's right.
And then the next phase is where they failed the worst. Like, where was that part of their life where they just didn't know they would make it? And then in that conversation, we get to the point where we find out where that awakening was. It's like, I don't know if I can keep going on. And then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, oh my gosh. And Napoleon identifies it as the other self.
It is, yeah.
And you won't know your other self until you get that low. Yeah. And so we interview and we look for those people who have that kind of experience. And they don't have to be in the fitness. We don't care who it is. We just want that conversation to be out there.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then we finish in redefining, and that's why it's called redefining failure, because the finish of what we're defining is that failure, this is something we got from the forum, is that when did problems be considered a problem? When was that created to be something that we avoided?
Right.
Because nobody ever grows unless you have a problem that you overcome. Whether it's sports, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, you get stronger once you push through where those problems or what you would identify as a problem is. So we call it redefining failure. And then the end of the podcast touches on what they're up to today. So you can see this full circle of, oh my gosh.
It sounds like we've got similar podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I mean,
awesome.
This is what needs to be out there.
No, I'm super happy about that, because everybody has a gift. Everybody has there's something that can be contributed by your experience. Yeah. And I coined a phrase. Look, in life, you're going to be one of two things. You're either going to make your mark on the world, or you're going to leave a stain. Yeah. I recommend you do the first. Okay. Get after it. Yeah. Right. And you're completely welcome to steal that if you want.
I love it.
It's really down to earth. What we're up to in life oftentimes is just surviving the next event.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not up to that. That's not what I want to be about. I want to be about not just surviving the next event, but fail the fuck out of that event and then turn around and do the next one and do even better.
Yeah.
Right? It's an amazing experience to see somebody who has failed over time actually make it in life. But guess what? It's so predictable because they don't quit.
Yeah.
They don't give up.
Yeah.
You know, and my favorite people of all time, they're the ones who you can look on their lives and you can say, you were nobody, but you were putting in the work back then.
Yeah.
And wow. So how did you become successful? Oh, you must have got lucky.
Yeah.
I want to hit a motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
You know, because no, I didn't.
No.
So weird how the harder I work, the more luckier I get.
Yeah. Right. Right. I heard a quote that luck is where opportunity and preparedness meet.
Absolutely.
So there is no luck.
Oh yeah.
So when I have people in my gym go compete, I don't ever tell them good luck. I say have fun.
Yeah.
Because you're going to perform with the work that you already put in.
Absolutely.
Like, so Napoleon Hill's book talks about when he interviews Andrew Carnegie.
Yes.
And Alexander Graham Bell, Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie gave him a challenge and says, only interview people on where they failed in life, not their success.
Yeah.
That's why it's called redefining failure.
That's so fantastic.
We really did listen to what what Napoleon Hill was trying to teach, and we looked around, and what we found was there is no, at least what we could find, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I would love to get engaged in those other podcasts if they're out there, but we couldn't find one that was only about failure. They touch on it, and sometimes it'll come around, and that is a part of people's lives, so it does come up.
Right.
But we are about failure from start to finish.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like Andrew Carnegie suggested, and Andrew Carnegie, if you don't know who he is, wealthiest man on the planet during around the 1930s. He's the guy that created the steel during the industrial boom.
Yep.
And so that's where, anyway. So yeah, redefining failure. My brother's part of that podcast with me, which is really cool to have him down here. Yep.
He's almost a twin, man. Who's the older one?
I am so glad you asked me that question.
You're the younger one, aren't you?
No, I am the older one.
Are you the older one?
So I'm glad you're asking because that means he looks older. That's awesome. That freeze frame is perfect. But anyway, he always jokes though. He says, he says I'm the better looking one. He's saying that he's a better looking one. And he always says you can't be the he's like you can't be stronger and better looking. So I'm better looking. I'm like that's okay.
Let's listen in for a second.
Podcast. I'm AJ Richards.
And I'm Cavett Richards.
And this is Redefining Failure. And this is our first one. So we got some changes to make.
This is so great, dude. I love it.
All right, welcome to the Rush Club podcast on failing.
On failing.
This is what this whole thing is about. Everybody we have a chance to meet with and hear from, we want to know where you failed. Where you sucked at. Failing more is our goal. It's kind of an interesting topic
because you learn more by losing.
Yeah.
You know what
absolutely.
You know, in a competition, I can go out and I'm going to go as hard as I can with AJ, and I'm going to win. And that
I think you're going to win.
Cocky. He's cocky.
Uh-huh.
You know,
he's always poking fun of his old buddy.
You learn more by losing. Yeah.
That's
and
great.
I win.
Well, and anybody who's humble enough to accept the failure as a spot to learn from will be able to pull out of that. I think most people who don't get out of that is they're not humble enough to recognize that it's okay to fail or to even speak about it or to seek help in that part of their failure.
So yeah, learning through failure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So enough about us. Let's talk about our guest, Rocky.
Well, Rocky's got an incredible story. I'm going to go ahead and
so, Rocky,
stop it right here.
To us. Where you,
because I want people to go and actually consume this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That'd
so
be great.
I mean, it was great they consume here.
Yeah.
But you know what? Look, go to you're going to want to go to Redefining Failure. Find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is the first podcast. Watch it, consume it, like it, comment, and please subscribe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Really, seriously.
And the failure, it's spelled a little
oddly.
Yeah. The I in fail is that upward like arrow.
It's the carrot.
The carrot.
Yeah,
is that what they call
that's
it?
what's called carrot.
The carrot, because the intent of that is that when you fail, you're moving up.
Yep.
So
Shift 6
Yeah.
on your keyboard.
yeah, and by the way, it's interesting. I'm glad we get to stop on this for a second because I just got a message today that Rocky is losing sponsors and fans because of his sharing, because of being willing to share,
Oh man.
because of living on the edge
Wow.
and putting himself out there. So Rocky, I'll just brief
Sure.
over what it is.
Yeah.
Born without a hand in the 70s. People in the 70s, people got treated as freaks, especially in school, severely bullied, like actually ganged up and beaten up. His dad disappeared. His mom put him into the foster system because she didn't know how to handle a child without a hand in that era, you know.
Yeah.
And she came back, picked him up at 4. So he, anyway, developed this severe phobia with groups, with being around big groups. Tried to kill himself when he was 14, slit his wrist. His dad found him just in time and turned to weightlifting, became strong, became well known in school for being athletic.
Strong kid.
Strong kid.
Yep.
Ends up traveling the country as a successful comedian, selling out, large arenas as a solo act.
Wow.
When his early 20s, late to mid 20s. But it could only do that through the use of drugs and alcohol to kill that social phobia that he developed from being picked on.
Yeah, that anxiety.
That anxiety.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Wakes up he's 5'5", wakes up, has that awakening.
Yeah.
300 plus pounds at 5'5".
Wow.
And says, I'm done doing this to myself.
Yeah.
So he stops. The social phobia had never been healed. So stopped taking jobs, turned down gigs until his career disappeared because he would rather live than do what he had to do to be over the social phobia.
Right.
Anyway, incredible story. He's doing phenomenal today.
Yeah.
He's an incredible lifter. Anyway.
He's a competitor, man. This guy's amazing.
So I get this message today that his sponsors and fans are leaving because he used to use drugs and tried to commit suicide. Are you fucking kidding me?
Wow.
Like,
Here's
the
a fucking-
keyword
he's
there
a
is used to.
He's a survivor.
Survivor.
No.
People will learn from his story. He gets letters from little kids that were born without hands, and he goes, here's the thing nowadays. He goes, in his podcast says, I thought I was the only kid in the world that didn't have a hand because we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
And so I was alone.
Wow.
And now I get letters from moms. He goes, I got a letter from a mom with a picture of her little boy with a PVC pipe holding it over her head, missing a hand.
Yeah.
And she says he wants to be like Rocky. Wow. And
I'm sorry, dude. Give me a moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's powerful. This is why we're a movement. This is the transformation of the people that come into our lives.
Yeah.
And
You're making a difference, dude. That's what matters.
It's a blessing.
It's great to cry.
Yeah.
Shit. That's what you get when you're on the edge, man. I'm moved by that.
I love
really.
it. Yeah.
So Rocky's such an inspiration, and I'm sorry to say it this way, but fuck those people.
Yeah. They're shallow. If that's where they're at, they're so shallow. And so we stand with Rocky. And here's the thing: when Rocky's word starts getting out there more and more,
Hashtag stand with Rocky.
This is what failure's about.
Yeah.
He is standing for what he believes in, and it may look like things are crashing, but what's on the other side of what's happening right now is Rocky's going to be at a much higher level to be able to influence people. And I'm telling you what, I've met the guy, and we've had a conversation. This isn't about him at all. This is about those little kids who didn't have, who now have him to stand for them.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Hashtag stand with Rocky.
Yeah, there you go. Stand with Rocky.
That's it. Man.
So that's the podcast, and we're just having a blast creating possibility in the world where there wasn't there. It's just awesome.
So we want to find out more about Rush Club Nation. We want to find out more about your box, your CrossFit box, gym.
Yep.
CrossFit at gym is called a box.
Yes.
Which I love that. And so if you want to find out about that, you're going to go to rushclubnation.com. And all the links to the podcast are on there, and there are some great videos also there. And if you want to know about the podcast itself, or you want to get to the podcast, you're going to go to Redefining Failure. And just go to YouTube and go ahead and look that up. Is there an @ symbol for your Twitter account? Is there anything else that I can, give for you? So
so let me pull those up real quick. So we obviously we're a media company, so we got information everywhere. So our Instagram is @RushClubNation, and our Facebook is Rush Club Nation.
Okay.
And our Twitter is @RushClubNation. Everything is Rush Club Nation.
Everything's
for us,
Rush Club Nation.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to meet, if you definitely want to follow Rush Club Nation, definitely want to follow AJ and what he's doing, and really AJ and the team for what you guys are up to.
Yeah.
And make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you're involved. Hashtag get involved, right? Hashtag we support Rocky. Or support Rocky.
Yep. Stand with Rocky. Hashtag stand with Rocky.
That's it. That's the new hashtag.
Yeah.
And we'll get that up as soon as possible.
Cool.
And then the other thing is that if you're in a situation where you're feeling like I don't know, you don't have it, like that awakening hasn't happened for you. There's some books out there that we already recommended that you read. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually have AJ speak to you directly and just speak from his heart. And just share with your heart what you would say to somebody that's maybe struggling or doesn't know what to do, or maybe they're lacking in fitness, and young guy that you're working with at 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. Just speak to the camera.
Yeah. So what I would have to say is that we all have something inside of us that is waiting to get out, and most of the time we're held back by what was so in the past, and it's no longer the case. And if you want to play with lions, or if you want to be a lion, you need to start playing with lions. And what I mean by that is put yourself out there. And if you don't, you're always going to be a sheep. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have more power inside of you than what you're present to. And only through putting yourself out there and failing a few times will you discover the lion that's in there. And don't stop. That's the biggest thing. I've wanted to stop, and I just keep telling myself that I'm a lion and I'm going to play with the lions. And that would be my best advice. Do not quit. Put yourself amongst lions to become a lion.
From the heart of a champion, this has been the Edge Podcast with Mike G. And again, really honored
Thank you.
To sit across the desk with you.
I appreciate it. I stand for what you're up to, man. This is great. When I saw you were doing something like this, I was so excited for you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. All right.
Thanks.
And I'm going to see you next week.
All right.
We're out.
Thank you for watching the Edge Podcast with Mike G. I hope you enjoyed the episode that you just watched. Please subscribe, like, and comment. We really want to know what you think about the Edge Podcast.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Cause I'm the type of nigga that's built to last. If you fuck with me, I